Yes. Om Shanti, dear sister Denise. Welcome to Colombia. This is
Sí.
Juliana, the philosopher of Baba. We embrace you and give you warm welcome to stay with us today for our national meeting with instruments.
Muchas gracias.
Nada, with so much love for you.
So today you have asked me to talk about reaping. And I know you have had sowing and caring for the plant and reaping. So thinking about reaping, we think about different kinds of plants. So if you sow a seed of wheat, then it will grow up and it will give you the fruits in a few months, and then it will die. So that's okay. But there's better kinds of ways to reap. And so we need to think about ourselves as trees, not grasses, not little flowers, no, trees. And probably one of the preferred trees for most of the BKs is the mango tree. And mango trees can grow to a very ripe old age. Now, if you grow a tree, you will not get any fruit for the first few years because the tree has to get consolidated. It has to move from being just a little shoot that comes out of a mango seed and really grow into a proper tree before it will start giving its own fruits. And I think this is quite a good analogy for a BK. So when you first come into the spiritual practice and you learn the introduction course and you start studying the Murli and you start practicing to meditate, you develop your connection and relationship with the other people who are students and teachers of Raj Yoga. You are in a learning phase and you begin to do service, and slowly, over time, you gradually develop and accumulate spiritual power, you accumulate expertise, you accumulate experience. And while it is the case for everyone that you get instant experiences, you have to struggle for some things, you experience obstacles, many things are there along the way, which is also what happens to a tree. When the tree is wanting to grow, it has to put down the roots and find water. It has to get sunshine. It has to have nourishment. Many things are there for the tree to grow strong and bear really good fruit. And the tree has to go through spring, summer, autumn, winter, many times before the fruits begin to emerge. And I think at first the fruits are small and not too many. And as time goes by, the tree becomes mature and the fruits become sweet and tasty and very many. And then these fruits contain their own seeds. And of course, a lot of people, they come and they eat the fruits and they throw away the seeds somewhere. And if the seed falls in a good place, then it has a good chance of, in its turn, growing into a tree. So I'm thinking about all of us as trees, not small growth items, not little plants, big plants. And so, what is needed when you want to think about yourself as a tree who will reap fruit? I think the first thing that's needed is patience. And this is something that many, many years ago, when I was a new Raj Yogi, this was often mentioned that you have to be patient. These things take time. You know, on one hand, we hear about Easy Raj Yoga, and sometimes we wonder what's easy about Easy Raj Yoga. And of course, it's easy when you know how, but then as soon as it gets easy, then you arrive at a new piece of terrain, a new set of challenges, and you are on a pilgrimage. Of course, as a tree, you just stay in one place, and a BK, a Raj Yogi, lives somewhere and develops their study and practice in that place, may travel around a little bit, but generally we have somewhere that's your base. And so you're somewhere, but you're also moving. You're moving not physically really, but you're moving spiritually. And the process of going through all the many different types of challenges as you reach the full maturity as a great big mango tree who gives shade over a vast distance. And many people can come and sit under that tree and maybe have spiritual conversations or sit under the tree and meditate, because trees are very powerful symbols of spiritual practice in many ways. And of course, our favorite tree, we can say, is the Kalpa tree, the big tree of humanity. And in all the different religions, there are symbols of the tree. And one of the symbols that you find in Christianity is the cross, which is a tree. And it's also a symbol of the cycle of time, because inside the picture of the cycle, you have a cross, and then it has side legs, which makes it into a swastika, but inside is a cross. And the cross is a symbol of surrender, sacrifice, transcendence. There are many things. And wood is very powerful, strong. It holds up the house. And so as you grow the tree of your own spiritual efforts, you know, there's many different types of things that you reap, not just only the fruits of mangoes, but you also develop this power to hold up the house. And the house doesn't mean the physical house where you live, but the house of the family, because the word house also means family, not just a building. And a home is people, a house and a home, and the wood which holds it up, those big beams that hold up the ancestral homes, these beams will continue to maintain their strength for several hundred years. And so when you're thinking about developing yourself as a being who reaps fruit, you're also thinking about the long, long, far distant future. So sometimes we hear about instant fruit, and we also hear about the importance of investing. Everything we do, think, say, all the different aspects of spiritual practice and spiritual effort and study and service, all of these are investments. You're investing in yourself, you're investing in your future, and you're investing in all the people that you come in contact with. As a big tree with many branches and much experience and expertise, you also function as a teacher. And it is said for a Raj Yogi that you are student teacher. So we are learning constantly and continuously through our whole life. And the life of a tree is a long one. Many of us, we come into this practice at an early age, maybe as a teenager, maybe in your 20s or 30s, and you continue with the practice for your entire life. So you may continue 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years until you reach a very ripe old age where you have passed through many, many experiences. So I think the importance about the mature big tree is that the fruits that you reap, which are also resown and which become important for the lives of others who come after you. This is an investment not just only for here and now, this is an investment into a long, long, distant future of many lives. And it's also an investment into the lives of all of those that you engage with as a friend, as a co-pilgrim, as a teacher, as someone who walks the path together with others. Because a pilgrimage is a solitary thing, and a tree is by itself, but then there's also the forest. And you do get solitary mango trees, but you also get big orchards of mango trees. And the nature of big trees is that they are connected underground in a very, very subtle way. What that means is that you don't just only reap for your own self, but you reap as part of a gathering of other beings who also are reaping the fruits of their expertise and their experience. In Raj Yoga, we're thinking about the eternal soul. We're thinking about eternally repeating cyclical time. And as we pursue our meditation and our practice, as we pursue different forms of service to others, we are creating fruits which we will reap for 21 births. That means that after this time cycle is finished and the new time cycle comes along, for birth after birth after birth after birth, we reap the fruits of everything that was done in this life. So that means that this life, out of all our lives, is the most important. So we're reaping immediate fruit. We're reaping fruit which we will experience later on in this life. And we're also, we know very well that these fruits will continue for many lives. And indeed, the experience of this life, our involvement with each other and with the knowledge and the yoga, lasts us for the full cycle of 84 births. Because in the second half of the cycle, our search for truth, our interest in spirituality, our attention on helping the world to reach a good destination is always with us. And when we reach the end of the cycle, the beginning of the next cycle, the confluence age, it is the fruits of this life that call us. And once again, we pick up the trail, we learn everything once again, and we continue to grow as a new tree, the same as the previous tree, and we understand our destiny. It is a very, very wonderful thing to know one's own immortality. Very slowly, we make a shift from limited to unlimited, from thinking in a linear way to circular thinking, where we're able to understand this whole life cycle of the tree of our own selves, the life cycle of the tree of humanity. And then we look at each other, our classmates, our spiritual friends who are on the journey. No one knows what will be happening. We know in a general way, but every day there are new things that emerge, new challenges, new victories, new insights, new openings. Every day there is something new, but at the same time, there is a part of us that is very conscious about the ancient and being an ancient soul. Another important thing about reaping is recognition, knowing the self. We cannot expect other people to recognize us. Other people will see us through the lens of their own preconceptions, their own vision. Each one sees others according to themselves. And we need to see ourselves and not through the eyes of other people. We must see ourselves through the eyes of our Creator. This is a very important thing. When we look at each other through the eyes of other people, we lose contact with the heart of the tree. And the heart of the tree, if you know about trees, well, the heart of the tree is a different kind of wood. It's a very, very strong wood. And it takes many years to develop that strength. Externally, there may be rain and snow and storms and hot sun. And if you are a mango tree, you have to deal with very, very high heat. And the circumstances of a Raj Yogi are sometimes very hot, very cold, very nice, very nasty, all the different pairs of opposites. But these are the things that create that heart of the tree, that very, very strong wood, which is so strong that it can carry very heavy branches, and the heavy branches can carry much fruit, very heavy fruit. The branches are flexible, so they will bow as the fruit develops. And these are symbolic elements of the tree. When the tree bows because of the weight of the fruit, this is symbolic of humility. Humility is that you know that everything that you're achieving, all the fruits that you are reaping, they're possible because of your Creator, who is the Creator of all of us, the One, the Supreme, the Being of Light, the incorporeal Supreme One. And each of us are students, but we're also conduits. If you think about the kalpa tree, then at the bottom of the tree, you have the form of Shiv Baba, the form of the incorporeal Supreme Being, hidden beneath the tree. And if you also look at yourself, in terms of the kalpa tree, you are also hidden. You are in the roots, you are underground. And so it is that reaping the fruits of our spiritual practice, the important thing about this type of reaping when you're underground is that you don't eat the fruit. You enjoy the fruit, but you use it, you reinvest it into yourself, you reinvest it into your future. And you do not think, oh, this is mine, and so I can use it however I want and just consume it, because in that way it doesn't grow. This kind of fruit is such that it must be reinvested. And so keeping the self easy, simple, real, true, continuously recognizing that the fruit is also a gift that comes from the one up above. We could say, well, I did the effort and this is my fruit, but then what inspired me to do the effort? Would I have done the effort if it was just me by myself? I don't think so. We might have made a little tree or a little wheat grass, and we might have created a little fruit that lasted us a little time, not more than one life, or two or three maybe. But without this inspiration, without this teaching, without all the details that showed us how to become such a tree that is an immortal tree. The immortal tree means the tree that gives fruit which lasts for the whole time cycle. So I think it depends on how much we value ourselves as individuals. So we have to recognize ourselves, and then we have to value ourselves. We cannot expect other people to value us. Another person will think we're wonderful, marvelous, fantastic on one day, and then useless, horrible the next day. And this is the way of the externals. It's sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. We cannot judge ourselves on the basis of public opinion. Public opinion is said to be the most unreliable thing there is. And the symbol for that is the scripture known as the Ramayana. And it is said in our study and practice that either you may study this in such a way that you go and become a ruler of the golden age at the beginning of the next cycle, or you may study it in such a way that you miss the golden age altogether and you become a ruler of the silver age. And the characteristic of the silver age is that you listen to public opinion. This is what makes you fail. And so we have to be careful and make sure that our tree is immortal, because if we miss a quarter of the cycle, that's not an immortal tree, that's 3/4 only. So we want to be complete, we want to be whole. And the key for that is to value ourselves. How do we know who we are? I think basically is by seeing ourselves in the way that our Supreme Teacher, Supreme Father, Supreme Satguru looks at us and gives us titles. You are the spinner of the cycle of self-realization. That means the entire cycle. Very few people can claim such a title. We are given that title, but along with being given it, we also have to claim it. Claim it means understand it, apply it, work with it, figure it out, because from the application of these titles, we can create that fruit. It is said, one title that is given to us, you are masters of the three worlds. What is that? What does that mean? The material, the subtle, and the incorporeal. So to claim that title, we must practice to shift from the physical to the subtle to the incorporeal. So we heard in the song, angels prefer to fly, which is really nice. And that means we have to be able to move into the subtle form. That's the angelic form. But we don't stop there. We also need to go into the incorporeal form, very, very subtle. It is said that the most powerful kind of punya is meditation. Punya, what is punya? Punya is the purest of the pure kind of karma. It is the best. Usually you will hear it translated as charity, but it's much more subtle, much more deep than what we normally think of when we hear the word charity. Punya is the kind of karma that enriches you to the maximum extent. So what is meditation? It is when you go into your incorporeal state and you connect with the incorporeal one and you draw power directly into yourself. This power, this spiritual power, is what gives you the possibility of making fruit, any kind of fruit. Like it is said, if you have yoga, you will get powers through yoga. And we know what those 8 powers are, and many other powers as well. Power of love, power of depth of understanding, power to be fearless, so many powers. But all of these powers come from this practice of holding the self still in the incorporeal stage, communing with the incorporeal one and pulling that power, that light into the self. And then this light spills out and radiates into the world. You become a conduit for the light of God, the love of God, the peace of God to reach to all places. And the fruit of that is so much benefit for so many people that you cannot touch physically. So this is punya. And the greatest fruit of all forms of fruit is the fruit of punya. Punya also is to enable another individual to connect with the Supreme Being, to understand themselves, to draw power from the Supreme Being, and to develop themselves fully into another big tree like you. So it is said, make others like yourself. But first you must know, who are you? What are you? Each of us has the experience that we were called, we were selected, we were almost, you can say, kidnapped away from our ordinary, relatively okay, but still ordinary life, and given the chance to make ourselves extraordinary, but not just for the self. If we do something just for the self, the fruit is not so much. But if we allow ourselves to do something that is beneficial for the self, no doubt, but which is primarily beneficial for the whole tree, for all the souls of the world. For that, the seeds we plant must be the seeds of this communication with the Supreme Being, and to let the seeds of his knowledge germinate within us. When we first learn the knowledge, we understand it quite superficially, but we think we understood everything. It's not like that. It's just an impression. Why do we continue with this practice for year after year after year, decade after decade, as we move from being young to mature to elderly? At every step of the development of life, there are changes, there's a deepening. And we understand the knowledge differently as time goes by. It becomes more subtle, more meaningful, and gradually we can become some kind of an embodiment of the knowledge, an embodiment of the yoga. So what you are and what it is becomes almost one and the same. This is very, very good seed to plant, because it's very easy to hear about information, to appreciate it, and to say, yeah, this is extraordinary, this is a wonder. But then to shift from hearing about it, talking about it, to being it, it's a completely different level of communication, where you plant the seed of enabling another person to see themselves the way the Supreme Being sees them, to grow into the wonder of the reality of who one is greatness. And the fruits of that greatness is that you become great, simple and great at the same time. You become infinitely full with light, purity, and love. But all of that is compressed into this tiny point of light that you are, that is invisible, intangible, hidden away underground, but which, like the mushrooms that move around underground and support so many trees, you become like that. And your fruit is included in the fruit that is getting reaped by the other trees. And in this way, you multiply your wealth of light, your wealth of love, your wealth of knowledge, your wealth of peace, until it becomes unlimited. And you experience fulfillment. And fulfillment is a very extraordinary thing. Many, many people would like to feel fulfillment, to have fulfillment, but very few actually have it. And so I suppose the greatest fruit that one reaps through all of this is the fruit of fulfillment. And fulfillment is what exactly? And there are many ways to describe it. One way is that whatever it is that I had to get, I got it. Whatever it is I had to become, I became it. Whatever it is that I had to break free from, I broke free. One of the expressions of fulfillment is liberation in life. There are two goals of this practice. One is liberation, the other liberation in life. And that freedom is probably the most valuable attainment that we can get. Freedom comes to someone who is absolutely content. I know who I am. I know what I am. That's enough for me. I know what I have to do. I do it. That's enough for me. I know God. That's enough for me. I understand the world. That's enough for me. A person who's fulfilled is also completely without any illusions, which means total disillusionment. It's a very strange state, the state of disillusionment. And usually people don't like it because it's very painful to lose all your illusions. But it's also very good because a person who is limited by their illusions is not really living in the kind of realness that we all long for. We say we want freedom, we want truth, we want love, we want fulfillment. And these are all different words that apply to, I think, probably the finest fruit that anyone could get. And I don't know if there is one single word to use for it, because we have so many words, and I rather like to keep all the many words, the titles, the achievements, the wonder, the sharing, the movement. I think part of the fruit is that we remain fluid. We are nurtured by our fruits now, in the short-term future, and over the whole full cycle. And so we feel easy. We are not afraid. We are able to give. We are able to love, because the blessings that we have received is overflowing all the time, like a big river that just flows and flows. And we are just allowing that to flow through us, and that we become part of that. And the tree, the great mango tree, by the time it reaches the end of its life, it's very, very old, passed through many things, and it has created such fruits that out of one tree comes a whole forest, and that tree remains immortal through the seeds that it keeps planting, and the trees that grow up from those seeds, they also have fruits, and they keep planting those. And in that sense, we can just enjoy the wonder of being always there, always part of the whole thing. And this is satisfaction, this is fulfillment. And I suppose this is what we might mean by reaping. So I think I'll stop there. And I don't know if you have any questions or any comments or something like this, but yeah, my thoughts about reaping. Thank you.
Thank you, sweet angel. Thank you so much. Personally, I really, really enjoy all the fruits you mentioned. And if you can explain, or you can give us some tips when the seed does not grow, there is something wrong when we plant, or what we can do when something is not working in that process.
Well, if the seed is burnt, it won't grow. If the seed falls on infertile ground, it won't grow. If the seed does not get water and sunshine, it won't grow. But the seed, which is not burnt, just a normal seed, always has the potential to grow. And some archaeologists have found seeds in things that they have dug up that have been 2,000 or 3,000 years old, and they plant those seeds and they grow. And so sometimes it's just not the right time. And so don't worry. If the seed won't grow, it's not time. The seed will grow later. So take care of that seed well, and it will grow. If you think, I am the seed and I'm not growing, also, it's because the seed will grow when it's the right time. And if you're thinking of yourself as the seed which is not growing, you might be surprised to find that it is growing, but it's still underground, so you're not seeing it. Some seeds, they put their roots down first before they come out. And so again, as I was mentioning in the beginning, for all these things, we need patience and give that seed a lot of love, have a lot of trust, and just know that the potential for growth is there. And you are not the seed that could be burnt, because your seed is a soul, and the soul cannot be burnt. So when it's time for the seed of the soul to awaken to spirituality and meditation, that is a fixed time. That's a destiny, and that will happen. So along with patience, you also need trust, and it will happen.
And the next question is your advice about what is the best way to give value to myself and recognition, but without any ego.
Well, don't worry about ego. Valuing yourself means self-honor, self-respect. And sometimes people are so worried about ego that they think everything is ego. But the real word for ego is false ego, when you think you are something that you're not. And I don't think that's really your concern. You want to value yourself. That means look at yourself through the eyes of God, not through the eyes of other people. Because what happens to so many people is the other people, they are jealous or they are arrogant or whatever is their problem. They look at you through the lens of that problem, and in that way, they're not reflecting you accurately. But when you look at yourself through the eyes of God, God reflects you accurately, because God will know you. He knows exactly who you are. You don't know who you are. And he says, look, I know you. I know who you are. Now listen, and I'm reflecting you. So now this is who you are. And whatever life has told you, whatever people have told you, they don't know what they're talking about. This is the very good way to see yourself, because God is a very accurate mirror who reflects you. If a person is very, very fortunate from their birth, they are accurately reflected by their parents, their siblings, all of these people. But that is so rare. This is the Iron Age. All the mirrors are dirty and distorted, so they don't reflect you very well. But Shiv Baba reflects you perfectly. So look at that. And then see yourself in the mirror of your own heart. But do not let it be a heart which is like a pool of water with a lot of wind on it that cannot show you correctly. You have to be still and quiet as you look deep into yourself and see the beauty that is lying there.
What are the weeds that hinder the growth of spiritual progress and how to uproot them?
Well, weeds are your, what Baba calls your old sanskaras. It is the ideas that you adopted from the material world, which are incorrect. And so one of the beauties of spiritual practice is that you are also not just a tree, but you're also a gardener. And so the gardener has to look and see if there are any pests or any weeds or anything like this. And you have to give water, you have to pick off the things that are not right and throw them away. So this is all part of our self-checking. And of course, there are many different kinds of things, but one of the principal ones is self-doubt, where you think, I won't make it, I'm not good enough, I'm probably not really an angelic person, all this kind of thing. This is because of messages that you take in from the outside world, which are designed to diminish you in your own eyes. These are weeds. And so keep looking at this reflection that's coming to you from your creator, from Shiv Baba. Understand that reflection is accurate and all these other messages are not right and you don't need them. You can throw them away. Not needed.
And if you can go deeper, I know you're expert going deeper, but this time we want to hear from you any personal experience being a powerful seed, any personal practice or any practice you can share with us also.
Well, the way I do things is not like a practice, like practice this, practice that, things like that. But it's more like an accumulation. And, every day different things come in the mind, either from the inside or from the outside, or your connection with some elements of the Murli. They will provoke different connections. And then you understand things deeply. And this takes me to this seed place where I know who I am, I know what I am. And then that's very, very stable, very still. And it may be different from what other people think it should be, but again, it's not about other people's opinion. It's about myself and God and eternity, And ultimately, spiritual practice is very solitary. It's just I, the soul, and God, and everything else is drama, all the people, places, and things. But the essence is this. And I think if you can get to that by just simply working with yourself, being true to yourself, and listening carefully to your supreme teacher, you will reach there, definitely.
Well, thank you. Your class has been a very good sustenance for our inner garden. And thank you once again, dear sweet flower Baba. And now we are going to finish with your Trishti.
Very good. Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's been really delightful to be with you. Thank you.
Thanks, dear.